Obviously, doing design and assist and offsite construction requires buy-in very early on from the project client and the general contractor. Are you finding that enthusiasm and that buy-in is harder or easier to get going into 2022? And when you do have a project partner that maybe isn't brought in, how do you go about getting them engaged?
Yeah, it's funny. It almost gets back to your question about supply chains, right? I mean, what is driving this sense of getting offsite construction teams integrated? For the past few years and frankly, the past few months, we're seeing a lot more owners and construction managers looking for more creative ways to kind of manage that risk, right? And one of the ways to manage the risk is to get key folks on board early to start making some of those decisions, pulling the trigger on, say, major equipment that has particularly long lead times and volatile pricing out there. So definitely, we'd say overall, like coming into 2022, it's becoming easier just by virtue of that fact that there's this element of like, wow, we can actually nail down some of the points of risk by getting these folks on early. Definitely helps. In terms of the naysayers, I would say, every day we get more great case studies of how this actually works. So, inevitably, in a project team where you've got lots of different stakeholders, maybe one or two won't have had a lot of experience with it, or might not be comfortable with how it affects their role. But inevitably, we're seeing there's so many great examples of how it works that those folks are usually brought on board pretty easily, and the whole thing works out very well.
Yeah. No, I can see how that's all related. Perfect. Well, I won't dive in too much deeper because I know that this is exactly, you're going to be going to those details at the conference in just a few months. This year won't be the first time that you've participated at Advancing Preconstruction. What is it about this conference that encourages you to attend year after year?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We participate in several different Hanson Wade conferences. They're all really good in the sense that they are very focused on particular challenges or maybe stages of our industry, and this one's no exception. I mean, there's so much to talk about regarding pre-construction. It's that stage of a construction life cycle that really deserves a deep dive. But it's also a stage that can be very resistant to change. I mean, what we see is that so many project teams, especially in that pre-con stage, they're moving so fast. They're focused so much on cost and schedule, the pressures they're under. Sometimes it feels to those teams like, man, doing something differently is maybe a luxury they can't afford, which is ironic because, if we want to address these challenges we've got, you have to do things differently, right? So again, getting the right people together from the right companies and the right roles in a conference like this is, sharing shared challenges and the ways to get over them. That's the way to solve these problems, and that's what this conference does, and this is why we continue to attend. It's a great one.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for your time, Paul.